Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. So for those that are new, my name is Brittany. I am an artist based in El Paso, Texas. I create intuitive geometric art as well as stencils and apply them to multiple surfaces. I do have a few videos listed on my channel, so if you guys can take a look at those, that would give you some more information on who I am as an artist. So with that being said, you guys, I wanted to share a new medium that I came across a few weeks ago, and I can't believe I didn't start this sooner. But as soon as I realized that I could start making my own, I'm going crazy and currently in the process of creating another one. So that is, drum roll, punch needling, aka rug making. So for those that are not familiar with punch needling, it is embroidery, and it is a technique involving punching and looping of a thread through a ground cloth. So that ground cloth is tufting fabric, and I will get into detail on the materials, but I also wanted to share just overall my process and what I've learned throughout creating my first ever rug, because this is my first rug and I thought that it would come out the way I wanted it to, but it was a complete fail in the end. That's why I wanted to share what I've learned, so that way if you guys are interested in making your own, then you won't make the same mistakes I did. So first things first, I decided that I take a painting that I already created and turn that into a rug. So I will be linking the photo, a reference photo of what I created. And it was just a digital painting that I made a few weeks back, and thought it'd be a good idea to just start on that. And it's something different. I haven't seen geometric art rugs before, so I thought it'd be amazing to start making them. So in terms of materials, let's get straight to materials. I had no idea on what to buy or what to get. So of course I did some research just to understand overall what I needed. So first, I thought I had everything down pat. I went to Hobby Lobby. I went to all my local art stores to see if they had the materials I needed, and I ended up buying majority of my materials from Hobby Lobby. So first thing I did buy was burlap, because that was one of the cloths that I could use to thread. So I was like, okay, let's try it. So I bought about 2 yards of it, and it cost me about $15. And then I also got a threading needle, and it does come with a threading loop that will help loop the yarn through your needle. So I got that, which only cost me about $7. And then I got a bunch of yarn, acrylic yarn, for about $2 on sale, which is great because I was able to get a couple of them. So after that, I did get a bunch of tufting fabric, and they did not have the tufting fabric available at Hobby Lobby or Joann's, so I had to go online and purchase some. And I heard some reviews on using tufting fabric, and there were some good, but then there were some bad. So I figured, you know what, the only way I'm going to know is if I try. So I bought a bunch of tufting fabric, and then I bought some monk's cloth. Monk's cloth and burlap are not my favorite, only because first off, burlap, it's very loose. So whenever I would thread my needle along with my yarn through the cloth, through the burlap, it wouldn't necessarily hold. It wouldn't hold the pattern. And then trying to trace my design onto the burlap was pretty hard. So I figured, okay, you know what? This won't be what I'm using. So then I moved forward to the tufting fabric, which worked wonders. It is very forgiving. And whenever I messed up, all I had to do was just unloosen the loop that I just did, or if there were any empty holes, I just went back in those holes, and then I continued. So that fabric is the best fabric to use for punch needling. So moving forward with the design process, like I said, I decided to use one of my digital paintings. So I have a projector. So I used my projector for that, and I didn't record that process, but I'm actually in the process of creating another rug. So I am recording that part so you guys can see. So moving forward, I needed a projector, which I already had, and I projected my design onto the tufting, onto the canvas. And for canvas, I already make my own frames, which you do need for this project. So I already had a frame. I had a staple gun. So I stapled the tufting fabric to the frame and basically stretched it out and made sure that everything was even. Also, another thing about stretching your tufting fabric onto the frame is to make sure that it's not too stretched and make sure that it's even, because if it's not, it won't help you along the way. The lines are used as guides, so I didn't really take that into consideration. I sort of rushed through that part, and I also rushed throughout the design process. So, and when I speak about the design process, I'm talking about sketching the actual pattern to the fabric. So I did realize at the end that my rug didn't come out as even as I'd like, which is okay, because now that I realize that, I know that to do that on my next project. So another thing I learned was to use cotton or wool. Like when I started threading the yarn through the fabric, I realized that acrylic is very fuzzy and it's synthetic. So I'm guessing that's the reason why it's so fuzzy in the beginning. But I'd rather have use cotton or wool because it's more natural and it's definitely more safer for the environment. So my next project, I will make sure to use cotton. Another thing I learned was during the process is to extend the spool. I don't have a spool of yarn. Like I don't have the machine to where you apply your yarn and then it'll turn for you. I don't have that. So I literally made, as you guys can see, I put my yarn beside me. But yeah, it was really difficult because I had to stop and make sure that I had enough to thread with. So yeah, just make sure that you are extending your yarn so that way it doesn't get stuck. And if it does, then your yarn won't go through the holes, and you could see it because I think I have a video on that. I'm not sure. If not, in this video, I will make sure to show you guys an example in my next one. So yeah, just make sure that you're extending the yarn as much as possible, or if you can afford a spool of some sort, then that would be amazing. And oh wait, another thing that I didn't do was I cut the yarn from the middle of I cut the yarn from the middle instead of having it come out from the sides, because it was way harder for me to unloosen the yarn. So instead of just pulling it out and have it come out easily, the yarn I had to keep twisting my the ball of yarn in order to loosen it up. So yeah, it was very difficult. But of course, I worked with it and I managed to get it through. But I guess like if I had the spool, it would definitely be easier. And something else I learned was to, at the end, towards the end of the project, is to make sure that when you're cutting the tufting fabric, don't cut the entire fabric. Leave some space on the side so that way your thread doesn't unloosen. Because as we speak, I am looking at my rug and I see that there are so many pieces of yarn just sticking out because I cut the ends. So ideally, when making a rug, you need to leave at least 2 inches apart from the end. That way you could fold them from underneath, sew them, or you could use some type of carpet adhesive. I still have to do some experimentation with that just to see what works. But I do plan on adding these to my website. So when I do, I have to make sure that I am sewing the end so that way it doesn't unravel. So I'd like to add in that there are 3 shapes that are a bit fuller than the others, simply because in the beginning I was very impatient and I got really frustrated because whenever I would thread the yarn through the fabric, it wouldn't loop completely. So I figured if I used my hands to pull the yarn, that it'll stay, and it did. So I did that for about 3 of the shapes, which you guys can see. And towards the end, I realized that I didn't need to do that. So then I got more familiar with the punching and it worked perfectly fine, which is why you guys see that the rest of this rug looks more even. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out and share with you guys. So other than that, and lastly, posture. Posture is very important when doing anything. You know, I realized over time when I knitted, when I threaded, when I was making the rug, my posture was pretty poor. So sometimes I'd be in one position for like 5 hours and I get up and my back would be on fire because I didn't sit straight or wasn't in a correct position. So make sure that your posture is on point, and also make sure that you're taking breaks, because it does get addicting. Like usually for me, when I start on something, I could sit anywhere for up to 8 hours long and not take a break. It's crazy, but that's just how I am. So I strongly recommend that you guys at least take a break every few hours or so. That way your body can at least get some kind of stretch throughout the process. So yeah, other than that, the project was very therapeutic for me. I found that I was very focused, but I was also at a very peaceful mind state, which was, really good for me because I have anxiety. So that definitely calmed me down, and I was able to just watch some movies on the side, and just to keep my mind going. So, or listening to a podcast was something that I did. And overall, the project came out really good. I just wish that I would have took some more time to make sure everything came out even. And overall, that will be it. I think that will be it for the video and for the rug, but it's an amazing medium, and I do plan on making a lot more, so stay tuned for that. I will try and make some videos, and I'll also be putting my new rug on my website. So if you guys are interested, please feel free to contact me. I do have some spots open to make some rugs. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for listening to my videos and showing support. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.